sports fans, diehards, and of course, bandwagon jumpers. Welcome to Tindal Sports Talks, the Sports Doctrine. I'm Cameron Tindal, and this is Thomas Lawhine. Armand couldn't be here today, but me and Thomas are going to square you guys away with a little college basketball talk, some NBA basketball, and of course a little Tim Tebow Sanchez action. But first of all, let's get us started with a little Frank Martin and him signing that $12.8 million contract with the South Carolina Gamecocks.
First of all, I think this is a magnificent hire by the University of South Carolina. Frank Martin is that type of coach that South Carolina has needed for years. The last two they've had, Darren Horn and Dave Odom, they've been real weak. They've been real weak on the players. They've been mediocre at best every year. But Frank Martin's a different style of coaching. He's successful at Kansas State. Every year they've won 21 games or more. And they've made the Elite Eight once under his belt. They just recently made the Sweet 16 again this year. Frank Martin's going to come in there. He's going to bring that punch. He's that aggressive style coach that South Carolina needs. And, they've spent a lot of money on him. They paid $1 million in his buyout to Kansas State to bring him in as well. So if Frank Martin doesn't turn out what South Carolina needs to be, I don't think they're never going to be great in basketball again.
I was going to ask you that about the contract. Do you think that was a little too much money to pay for Frank Martin, $12.8 million contract? Do you think they paid too much for him, or do you think that he can really be that savior that this program needs?
Well, coaching is gambling. When you hire a coach, it's gambling basically. You put a lot of money on the table to bring him in and hope for the best.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a good contract. Maybe they could have went a little bit softer, on the money wise, but I don't know if you're going to see the big change the first year because these are still Darren Horn's players, but 2-3 years down the road, you can really tell. Can he recruit in the SEC amongst Kentucky? Can he recruit against North Carolina, Duke, Clemson up the road? Can he build that foundation? We'll tell in 2 to 3 years if he's really doing that.
For Frank Martin, he's been very successful as a coach at Kansas State. In his 3 years, they made the tournament each year. He's won 21 or more games each year, and he gets some pretty decent recruits. And Darren Horn, he brought in some decent recruits as well. South Carolina, they underachieved, but South Carolina's, they're not, some just whoop-de-doo, low-tier school. They have great facilities.
Oh, yeah.
They've been getting great recruits in football and basketball over the years. And about the baseball program. South Carolina, they're a pretty decent program. And I think that Frank Martin could definitely bring them up. I mean, I don't see a 10-win season for the Gamecocks in that season or for years to come if Frank Martin has to coach. But $12.8 million, you can say that maybe was a little too much money. But for the Gamecocks, what do they have to lose?
Exactly, and the thing is, this is Frank Martin. He's a big-name coach. He's rising. He's only 46 years old. And you've got Dawn Staley that's turned the women's program around. She's a very young coach. You've got Ray Tanner that's won back-to-back national titles. You got Steve Spurrier just carried him to their first 11-win season. I mean, big things are going up with the university in Columbia. So Frank Martin is the name, and I believe the guy that can build that foundation up with the basketball program to make it a great athletic program at the University of South Carolina. Most definitely.
I agree with you there, man. And that's going to take us to our next subject, the Final Four. That's what everyone's been talking about. That's the big story here. And we're going to first talk about Kansas and Ohio State. Who do you think is going to win this matchup?
Well, in the first matchup, it was Kansas that won. But Ohio State was without their best player. And that's Jared Sullinger. Ben, it was so early in the year as well. I think Ohio State's got this one. And the reason why I think they've got this one is Jared Sullinger back. Ohio State's played tougher competition in the tournament. They're more athletic. I'm not dissing Bill Self in Kansas. They've had a great run as well. But I think in the end, Ohio State is more fit and ready to play now with Jared Sullinger on the court.
And I can agree with you there. I believe that Ohio State is a very talented team, a very well-set-minded team. I feel like they have their eye on the prize this year. They wanted it last year, but fell a little short to Kentucky, of course. And I think that with Sullinger and with Aaron Craft playing the defense that he's been playing all tournament, tough, grinding defense on these point guards in this tournament, I think Ohio State can win this game. In the end, it's going to come down to clutch shooting and defense. in my opinion. Because Sullinger and Robinson are going to even each other out. They're going to have big games. That's what they do. They're going to even each other out. And the matchup I would like to see is Tyson Taylor, and Aaron Craft. Those are the two sidekick guys for both teams. How will they play? How will the other guys with supporting cast play for these teams? And that's going to be the deciding factor in this game. I believe this game is going to come down to the waning seconds and maybe even the last shot. But I'm going to go with the Jayhawks in this one. I think that Kansas with Bill Self, he always has those guys ready. They beat Roy Williams in North Carolina to have momentum going. I feel like Kansas can definitely win this game. And I feel like if it comes down to the last seconds, which it will, in my opinion, then Kansas is going to win this game. I feel like when it comes down to a big shot, Kansas is ready to make that move, and they're ready in that moment to win the game. And like I said, it's going to be Kansas in this game. And that's going to take us to our next matchup, Kentucky versus Louisville. Probably the most anticipated matchup in the Final Four, being that it's a rivalry and everything with Louisville, Kentucky, John Calipari versus Rick Pitino. What do you think about this matchup?
Well, this is actually a really great matchup for the Final Four. First of all, Kentucky has just been tremendous down low all year. Their post is just unbelievable with Anthony Davis. It is just, gosh, it's just crazy good. It's crazy good, but at the same time, they played each other earlier this year. Kentucky won. And it's sometimes harder to win in the bigger stage when it really matters. Louisville's on a little bit stretch of a momentum run right here lately. You know, they made that great run and won the Big East.
Yeah.
But it's going to come down, I believe, 100% honestly, who can shoot better in this game. Who has a higher field goal percentage, I think will win this game. Whoever shoots the three ball better and shoots from the outside better, you know, jump shooting, I think will win this game. And, you know, like Kentucky has lost. They've lost to Big East teams in recent years in the tournament. That's who they've choked against the most. But with the way Kentucky is, I think John Calipari actually this year, he finally got them motivated enough. You know, he kept them together as a team. He kept, you know, he kept them straight determined. They made it further than I thought they would because of discipline this year. So therefore, I'm gonna have to go with Kentucky in this game.
I agree with you there. Of course, I'm going to go with Kentucky too. Not just because I'm a Kentucky fan, but Kentucky is definitely the best team in this tournament. They're the best team in the nation, and they're on a mission this year. This is not the same Kentucky team you've seen with John Wall and Brandon Knight and those guys. This is a together team. I mean, you have multiple guys averaging over 10 points a game. Multiple guys having double digits. I believe it's 6 or 7 guys. You know, they can go all the way down the roster and find guys who can score for this team. And Louisville, they put up a good fight in the first match that they played, but in that game, you just knew the whole time that Kentucky was controlling the tempo and that they were going to win the game. They had Russ Smith, who scored 30 points in the game. Russ Smith is not going to score 30 points in this matchup. I don't see that happening. But Anthony Davis, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Marcus Teague, all those guys, Terrence Jones, they have been playing consistent basketball all year and even throughout the tournament. But one thing about this Louisville team that I will say, they remind me of that UConn team from last year, who went on and won the whole Big East tournament, swept through, and then went all the way on to win the national championship. And like you said, Kentucky has lost to a Big East team each of the last 5 years. Every time that they lose, it's to a Big East team. Even in the NIT a few years back, they lost to Notre Dame. So the Big East teams have kind of been an Achilles heel for Kentucky. But they've been getting over so much humps all year. There's no reason for me not to believe that they're going to get over this hump. Because this is definitely the best team in the nation and probably the best Kentucky team that's been here over the last few years. Maybe not the most talented team, because I believe that John Wall team was the most talented, but this is definitely the best Kentucky team. And I'm anticipating seeing a Kentucky and Kansas matchup in a rematch. And boy, would that be great. Kentucky and Kansas, well, how much history is that for a national championship game? But you heard it here, folks. Kansas versus Kentucky in the national championship. That's who I have. Thomas, you have?
I have Kentucky and Ohio State.
Kentucky and Ohio State.
I think your matchup would be great. It would be great for traditions and all, but I just think it's going to be Kentucky and Ohio State for one reason. It's because they're both the most two athletic teams that are left. And I think Kentucky will grind it out. They're more athletic than Louisville. And I think Ohio State is a little bit more athletic, and they'll grind it out over Kansas and play Kentucky in the national title game.
I can see what you're saying there, man. And with Kentucky, I believe that Louisville is going to try and run with Kentucky. Louisville likes to run. That's how they win. And you've seen in the game against Indiana what happens when you try to run with Kentucky. You don't want to run with a team like that because those guys can run as well. You don't want to get into a high-scoring bout with a team like Kentucky. You're not going to win. And that's Louisville's bread and butter. And I don't think that that's going to succeed against Kentucky. So I feel like there's no way that Louisville is going to win this game. I'm not downplaying the rivalry like John Calipari has. He's been downplaying the rivalry part of it. And him and Rick Pitino. It's a lot that goes into that. Rick Pitino is a great coach. I'm not downplaying anything that he can have up his sleeve for this game. But I got Kentucky winning, and on the other side, of course, I got Kansas winning. I wanted to see a Kentucky-North Carolina matchup in the championship, but I'll take a Kentucky-Kansas matchup. All right, folks, that's going to do it for the first half of Tindal Sports Talks, the Sports Doctrine, with me and Thomas Lawhorn. Look at this highlight of the day as you wait for the second half of Tindal Sports Talks, the Sports Doctrine.
10 seconds to go. Coombs McDaniel on the screen. Walker with 7.
Got a mismatch.
Walker on McGee with 4. Kemba Walker. Step back. Walker. Cardiac Kemba does it again. UConn wins at the buzzer.
Tim Calhoun and the execution by this little guy who's been amazing all year.
No question, he got it off. No reason to go to the monitor. It was clear it left his hand with about a second to go, so no controversial ending at all. It's good. Connecticut wins 76-74. Jamie Dixon's team now 0-3 with the double bye. And Calhoun's club moving on. Kemba Walker with the game-winning shot. His mom, Andrea, is watching, and you can see right away her reaction as Walker drained it.
Welcome to the second half of Tindal Sports Talks, the Sports Doctrine. I hope you enjoyed that highlight that we just showed you guys. I'm Cameron Tindal, and this is Thomas Lawhorn. And we're going to start you off in the second half with a little Tebow action here. As far as Tim Tebow and Mark Sanchez are concerned, what do you think about this circus that's been going on around them with the media and them downplaying the fact that they're going to have to compete for the starting spot?
Oh, it's just the media working and trying, to bring the publicity to the Jets, just picking up Tebow. That's all it is. Right now, they're downplaying the competition. So, just to stabilize them in, to get them on the same team together. But as time progresses, there's going to be more instant Jet fans this year because of Tim Tebow. The more time progresses, it gets closer to the NFL season, training camp, preseason, you're going to see a rise in the competition, and the media is going to just blow up with it.
So you think that all of this, it's no competition, I'm not worried about Tebow, I'm not worried about Sanchez, back and forth between them. You think all that's going to cease once we get closer to the season again? You think it's going to definitely come down to the wire then?
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. When we see the summer come around for training camp, you're going to see it all over the news. It's every day by day. I guarantee there will be a progression about it, about the competition between Tebow and Mark Sanchez.
So who do you think will eventually be the starter? Who do you think will be the starter after the trade deadline? That's a better question. Who will be the starter, Tebow or Sanchez?
Put it this way: both of them on a scale, Tebow and Sanchez on a scale, they're both about equal as being an NFL quarterback. Sanchez is more of a pro-style quarterback. His stats have not been that great. They've been inconsistent off the roof the past couple of seasons. And then Tebow had a rise there at the end of last year and carried the Broncos to the playoffs. Therefore, Tebow changes the dynamics of an offense. You run an old school offense, the old wing T spread offense when you put him in there. He motivates the team though. That's the difference between him and Sanchez. So therefore, at that point in the season, when the season starts, whoever is going to carry the team and motivate them to win, and they have the best chance to have progression on the offense, will be the starter at the decision of Rex Ryan. And at the trade deadline, if it's Tebow's rising the team up, I think he'll be your starter. If not, Sanchez is not your starter, I think he may be traded.
I don't think Sanchez makes it as a starter of this team through the trade deadline. And he might not even make it the first couple of weeks, simply because what Tim Tebow brings to your team. With Tim Tebow behind you, you can ask Kyle Orton about this. It's like you're set up to fail. No matter what you do, your room for error is at 0. As soon as Sanchez makes a mistake, it's going down. They want Tebow. You're going to have Tebow chance out of the woodworks. And I believe that Tim Tebow is going to be this team's starting quarterback before week 6.
Oh, yeah.
Way before week 6, maybe even week 2 or 3. Shoot, maybe even out in the preseason. You never know with Tim Tebow. But these people in New York want to see Tim Tebow. Once you have Tebow on your team, you have to put him on the field. You almost have no choice in the matter. And that's going to bring us to our next subject, the New York Knicks and their recent injuries. Amari Stoudemire out for 2 to 4 weeks. You got Jared Jeffries out. You got Carmelo Anthony day-to-day with his groin injury. They're saying that he's going to be okay and able to play. You got Jeremy Lin day-to-day. They're unsure about him. How do you think these injuries are going to affect the Knicks in their strive to make the playoffs?
Okay. These injuries really could hurt them in a way, but at the same time they couldn't because the East is so weak. I think before the stretch run really gets going here towards the end of the year, I think they should be at a healthy point. So therefore, it shouldn't really hurt them as bad. But, you know, with Amari Stoudemire and Jeffries being out 2 weeks, you got Amari. He's a really good post player. He's definitely the best presence they have down low for rebounding, blocking. You know, he's a pure scorer. You pass him the ball down low, he's going to get it in there.
Better than Tyson Chandler? He's been having a great year this year. He's been leading the league in field goal percentage. He brings the defense. He brings the rebounding. You know, Amari is definitely an important part of the team. You know, but with Tyson Chandler down there, it's definitely been helping him out this season.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And I think he would be the one really to watch out for if his injury extended for a little bit longer period of time. We're saying 2 weeks, but you know, Carmelo has been up and down all year. He's been hurt numerous times already this season for day to day. So Carmelo, they've actually won some games without him this year. I think they would need him probably to make a bigger run in the playoffs, you know, to get in, you know, to get healthy to help them out.
They're definitely going to need Carmelo Anthony. If Amari Stoudemire is not healthy, Carmelo Anthony's going to have to step up, and I'm talking big step up. Like, he's going to have to be averaging close to 28, 29 points per game with Amari Stoudemire out and Jeremy Lin out, but he's expected to be back soon. But still, Carmelo Anthony is going to have to prove that he's a superstar in his league, especially now with the Knicks in the bulk of this playoff race and with Amari out. He's definitely going to have to step up big, and I think that Carmelo Anthony will. I think he's an underrated player in this league, and I think that he can do it. I know you don't like that comment. I know you think that Carmelo Anthony is overrated, but Carmelo Anthony is definitely an underrated player in my opinion.
Well, Carmelo will have to do one thing, and that's one thing. The reason why I say he's overrated, he's going to have to play defense. He's going to have to go out there and hustle his tail off and play defense.
And he's been doing that a whole lot better since Mike Woodson has taken over as the coach of the Knicks. So can that last? That's the question. And will the Knicks make the playoffs with these injuries and with the circumstances that has been brought upon them? That's going to bring us to our next question and subject, and that's who do you have as your sleeper teams and your teams to watch out of the East?
I would have to say out of the East, my sleeper teams to watch would be the 76ers and the Indiana Pacers. The reason why I say those two is the 76ers, they've got a ton of talent on that team. Their problem is, can they stay healthy? Because down low, they've had injuries all year. With Thaddeus Young's been hurt a couple of times, and Spencer Hall's their center. If they can keep them healthy to go along with Elton Brand down low, they should be fine. They've already got Evan Turner. He's a rising young superstar. They've got Lou Williams, the sixth man off the bench, as their leading scorer. I think they really can make some noise. You know, also they got Iguodala as well. They can make some noise if they stay healthy.
So who's your team to beat out of these?
I would have to say the Bulls. Chicago Bulls.
Chicago Bulls, folks, not the Miami Heat.
Definitely the Chicago Bulls. They are still the best team right now, the best record in the East, without Derrick Rose.
That's true.
They get Derrick Rose back, they're 10 times even better. And I think the Heat are great. They're great this year. By far, they're more disciplined this year than they were last year. But still, in the end, I think the arrogance with the great talent will override the team discipline when they play.
So you're saying that the Bulls are going to win the East?
I believe so. If
wow,
they stay
strong comments here by Thomas Lawhan, folks. He says the Bulls are going to beat the Heat. You're going to catch a lot of heat for that comment. I can tell you that right now. But do you think the Sixers or the Pacers can beat the Heat or the Bulls? That's the question.
I actually could see the Sixers upsetting the Heat.
Oh, wow. Strong, very strong comments here, Thomas.
Like I said, if one thing, they stay healthy. They've got to get healthy before they can get a
healthy Sixers team over a healthy Heat team.
Now, that's a little far, but don't be surprised if it happens.
Well, you heard Thomas here, folks. He has some very strong comments for you guys. Let's see what he has to say about the West. What do you think about the West? Who's your sleeper teams and who's your teams to beat in the West?
My sleeper team in the West was actually the biggest surprise last year in the playoffs. And they've actually got healthy now. That would be the Memphis Grizzlies. They've got Zach Randolph, just came back fresh from injury. And they've got Rudy Gay. Rudy Gay, by far, is the most underrated player in the NBA. He's a pure scorer.
So he's better than Carmelo Anthony? Okay.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Wow. What?
Yes, yes.
Rudy Gay is a better player than Carmelo Anthony?
Yes, no doubt.
Whoa,
Consistently, he scores around 20 points a night. Consistently, he plays defense. He pulls in 5 to 10 rebounds a night. And he gets another 3 to 4 steals a night. And, of course, you got a couple assists to go along with that as well.
I cannot agree with you there, but that's something that we're going to have to discuss on another show because I have a lot of comments for that one. So who do you have as the team to beat in the West? One team right now.
It would have to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. I just think they got the most pure raw talent in the West.
So you think they're going to win the West?
Good possibility, yes. It's either going to be them or the Lakers. The Lakers, just signed Ramon Sessions, and he's helped them. He's going to give them a boost as well.
Okay, well, you heard it here, folks. Thomas Lawhorn predicts the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Chicago Bulls in the NBA Finals. And that's going to do it, folks, for this episode of Tindal Sports Talks, The Sports Doctrine. I'm Cameron Tindal, and this is Thomas Lawhorn, and we are signing out.